to the British royal family is this idea of a royal reconciliation. And we have some of the top aides having these super secret meetings here in London.
For years, Meghan Markle has tried to silence one rumor, the whispers about her so-called yacht girl past. She's dismissed it as sexist slander, but according to royal biographer Tom Bower, there's a reason it refuses to die. Real scandals fade, fake ones disappear. This one has stuck because it fits a pattern. Bower argues Meghan's career doesn't look like a steady climb built on raw talent. Instead, it looks like calculated networking, exclusive parties, and connections that conveniently open the right door. To Meghan, that version of her story is humiliating because it shatters the self-made Hollywood star turned duchess narrative she's carefully crafted. And here's the brutal part: no matter how many PR campaigns she launches, every time the whispers quiet down, they resurface. Now, with Bower putting them back in the spotlight, Meghan is once again forced into the corner she hates most, the one where her fairy tale begins to look more like a performance than a love story. But that was only the beginning. Because if the yacht whispers damaged her past, Bower's next claim strikes directly at her present, her obsession with becoming the next Diana.
Packed, photographed, and every last detail in the Daily Mail. Tom Bower, what was your reaction when you saw those headlines?
I thought it was confection. I thought it...
What happens when an 85-year-old royal biographer with nothing to lose decides to dismantle Meghan Markle's carefully built image? Tom Bower just dropped claims so explosive they could rewrite everything we thought we knew. From whispers of a secret past to accusations that her lies could flood the earth. This isn't gossip, it's a brutal takedown. And if you thought Meghan's biggest scandals were behind her, wait until you hear what Bower just exposed. Meghan has never hidden her admiration for Princess Diana. The outfits, the poses, even the carefully staged paparazzi photos, they all echo Diana's most iconic moments. But Tom Bower says this isn't homage, it's obsession. And here's the problem: Diana didn't have to try. Her vulnerability was real, her pain was unfiltered, and that's why the world adored her. Meghan, on the other hand, looks like she's auditioning for the role of Diana too. It's staged, it's polished, and it feels forced. Bower's words cut deep. You can't be Diana, because authenticity can't be copied. What made Diana beloved, her raw humanity, is the very thing Meghan's endless image control destroys. And just when you think that's harsh enough, Bower takes it further. He claims Meghan's obsession with Diana isn't just a failed strategy. It's proof that she's built her entire brand on borrowed identity. But if that was uncomfortable, his next revelation is devastating. Because Bower doesn't stop at the image. He says Meghan's own words, her endless contradictions, are the real cracks that could bring everything down. According to Tom Bower, Meghan's biggest weakness isn't fashion or PR, it's her words. He says her contradictions are so endless, they could flood the earth. And when you start stacking them up, it's hard to argue. She claimed she never Googled Harry before meeting him, yet photos show her wearing Diana's jewelry years earlier. She said she was naive about royal protocol, but had friends in royal circles long before she met Harry. Even her famous Oprah interview, hailed as a truth bomb, was debunked within days, as fact-checkers tore holes in her timeline. The issue isn't one or two slip-ups, it's the pattern. When every story shifts, when every detail gets reframed, people stop trusting any of it. And once credibility is gone, it doesn't matter how powerful your PR machine is, the public tunes out. Bower's point is brutal but simple. When lies pile too high, even the truth starts sounding fake. And Meghan's carefully curated image is now buried under contradictions the world won't forget. But that's not even the worst of it, because Bower doesn't just question Meghan's stories, he goes straight for the foundation of her marriage. Tom Bower didn't hold back. He said Meghan Markle's contradictions could flood the earth. A savage line, but when you stack the receipts, it starts to look less like an insult and more like cold truth. Think about it. Meghan swore she never Googled Harry before their first date. Sounds innocent, right? But then why were there photos of her years earlier wearing jewelry linked directly to Princess Diana? Coincidence or careful preparation? She claimed she was blindsided by royal rules, painting herself as a clueless outsider. But insiders say she had friends in London's royal adjacent circles long before she ever met Harry. So was she really unprepared, or was she playing the victim card? And then there's the Oprah interview, the moment that was supposed to cement her as a fearless truth-teller. Within days, fact-checkers shredded it apart. Conflicting timelines, contradictory claims about Archie's title, details that just didn't line up. Here's the thing: one inconsistency is a mistake, two is suspicious, but when the contradictions never stop, the public starts connecting dots. And once people decide someone is willing to bend the truth, every new story sounds like another script, another performance, another carefully staged scene. That's Meghan's problem. The more she talks, the less people believe. And Bauer's brutal phrase sums it up. Her stories don't just bend reality, they flood it. But that's only half the damage. Because according to Bauer, these contradictions don't just wreck Meghan's credibility, they bleed straight into her marriage with Harry. And the way he describes it's not a fairy tale, it's a fragile business deal, barely holding together. On the outside, Meghan and Harry's marriage is still packaged like a fairy tale. Glossy Netflix documentaries, staged photo ops, and polished interviews designed to look like unity. But according to Tom Bauer, it's little more than a fragile business deal held together by cameras and contracts. Insiders he cites say Meghan has even started using her daughter, Lilibet, as a shield, pushing motherhood narratives to distract from the fractures in her relationship. Whenever criticism grows too loud, there's a conveniently timed story about family life, bedtime routines, or protecting the children. It's not parenting, Bauer argues. It's PR. And Harry? He looks more isolated than ever. Instead of a strong, supportive partnership, the cracks are starting to show in public. Conflicting stories about their timeline, disconnected appearances where Meghan shines while Harry lingers in the background, subtle moments where the chemistry feels more like obligation than romance. The fairy tale is falling apart, and when you strip away the curated images, what's left is exactly what Bauer describes: a shaky business partnership, not a marriage built on trust. But the humiliation doesn't stop there, because while the relationship is unraveling, Hollywood, the very world Meghan thought would crown her a queen, is quietly closing its doors, and the whispers from Tinseltown are even more brutal than Bauer's words. When Meghan left the UK, she believed Hollywood would welcome her as royalty. For a brief moment, it looked like she was right. Invitations to star-studded events poured in. Producers lined up to meet the Duchess of Sussex. Celebrities posed for pictures, hoping to share the glow of a royal rebel. But just a few years later, the shine has completely faded. Behind the scenes, whispers are growing louder. Meghan is difficult. She makes everything about her. She brings tension into rooms instead of star power. Producers have started quietly pulling out of projects, wary of the drama that follows her everywhere. One insider put it bluntly: Meghan isn't Hollywood royalty. She's a liability. And the most telling sign? The invites to elite A-list parties, events that once gave her credibility, are drying up. The red carpets, the exclusive dinners, the industry power meetings, all slowing to a crawl. Meghan's name no longer adds prestige, it sparks hesitation. Even worse, the yacht girl rumors keep resurfacing, reminding people of a past she's worked so hard to bury. Combined with her public contradictions, the Hollywood elite have started keeping their distance. It's no longer glamorous to be linked with her. It's risky, and while Hollywood's rejection would crush anyone, Meghan's reaction is what makes this chapter sting even more. Instead of adapting, she's doubled down, clinging harder to the very image that people are laughing at. But that's not the whole story. Because what really fuels Meghan's obsession with status isn't just Hollywood, it's her relentless attempt to step into the shoes of someone far more beloved. And that's where things get darker. Meghan hasn't just been chasing fame. According to Tom Bauer, she's been chasing a ghost, Princess Diana. From the very beginning, Meghan styled herself as Diana's spiritual successor. The similar outfits, the camera poses, the persecuted princess narrative, it all looked like a calculated attempt to inherit Diana's legacy. Even her interviews seemed crafted to echo Diana's emotional vulnerability. But here's the problem: you can't fake authenticity. Diana's sorrow was raw, tragic, and painfully real. Meghan's, it feels staged. When Diana cried, the world's heart broke. When Meghan cries, fact-checkers dig up contradictions. And instead of sympathy, she gets eye rolls. Take the Oprah interview. It was supposed to be her Diana moment, the vulnerable princess opening up about a cruel monarchy. Instead, inconsistencies were spotted within days. She claimed she'd never Googled Harry, but had worn Diana's jewelry years earlier. She spoke as though royal protocol was a shock, despite having royal-adjacent friends, long before meeting him. Every supposed revelation fell apart under scrutiny. Bauer's words cut like a knife. You can't be Diana, because Diana didn't need to try. She was beloved simply for being herself. And this is where Meghan's obsession becomes her downfall. Every time she tries to mimic Diana, the comparison only highlights how different they really are. Diana was spontaneous, vulnerable, authentic. Meghan comes across as controlled, theatrical, even desperate. But the most chilling part, Meghan's failed attempt to be Diana, is only one piece of the puzzle. Because while she's busy trying to copy the past, her present, the marriage, the credibility, the very brand she's built, is starting to collapse. And the next revelation from Bauer takes us right inside that unraveling marriage. On the outside, Meghan and Harry's marriage still looks like a fairy tale. The red carpets, the glossy Netflix documentaries, the perfectly staged paparazzi shots. It all screams happily ever after. But according to Tom Bauer, once the cameras stop rolling, the reality looks very different. Behind closed doors, insiders say the marriage is showing real cracks, and Meghan, he claims, has resorted to a shocking tactic to shield herself from scrutiny, using her daughter Lilibet as a kind of human buffer. Whenever criticism gets too heavy, suddenly there's a carefully timed story about motherhood, a photograph with the children, or a heartfelt anecdote about family life. It's a move that Bauer describes as cold and calculated. To the public, it looks like Meghan is leaning on family value. But to critics, it looks like manipulation using a child not for protection, but for PR. And once you see it that way, it's hard to unsee it. This isn't just about parenting, it's about control. Meghan knows that her marriage with Harry has become part of her brand. A fractured marriage would shatter that brand overnight. So instead of confronting the cracks, she allegedly papers over them with staged moments. Photos that scream unity, interviews that insist everything is perfect, and narratives that position her as the protective mother holding it all together. But here's the darker side. Harry himself doesn't seem to realize how much he's being used in this game. Insiders whisper that he's often the one sulking in the background, rehashing old grievances, obsessing over what they should have had if they'd stayed in the royal family. Meghan, on the other hand, is already spinning those frustrations into new storyboards, PR campaigns, and media pitches. It doesn't look like love anymore. It looks like a business partnership held together by strategy, not devotion. The same Netflix projects that once seemed like proof of their unity now feel more like proof of their desperation. A brand collaboration, a performance. And this is exactly where Bauer's words land hardest. Because if the marriage is a PR machine, what happens when the machine breaks? What happens if the children, the photos, and the narratives are no longer enough to convince the world? That's the nightmare scenario Meghan is facing. And the next revelation makes that nightmare even worse. Because it shows that Hollywood, the very place she thought would embrace her forever, is quietly turning its back.